All right, you've got a brand new board. What do you do to make it look old? To prevent making a mess on my table, we've sanded it off and done a good job. I'm gonna use my Dollar Tree towel. This is a really good hack. It allows you to move your project around, and you can kind of move it this way when you have dirty edges and that kind of stuff. And then you can get the towel dirty and it doesn't matter at all. Okay, so we're going to base our project with some Legacy Brown Minwax water-based stain, and it's 1056 is its number. I'm not mixing any water in with my paint. I could do that if I wanted to. So I just want this to get to be a rich brown. You can use the small round sponge as well. And if I wanted that to smear just a little bit, I could pick up just a little bit of water and it'll just flow better. Also, to control the volume of darkness, I can wipe it off as I get it going so I don't have as much stain on there, and it's a little bit more transparent. You get a little bit more of that background going in. If you haven't tried a chippy background before, you've got to try it on something. Get a scrap piece of wood and play. It is so much fun. It won't matter if I have these overlaps here. You do want to watch for that. If you are wanting a transparent stained background and you don't want any overlap lines, then do each slat by itself. My earlier business was called The Painted Touch for this very reason. You always end up with paint on your hands. Okay, now what I can do right here is blot out the water, and then I can pick up some of my stain and I can bring in some darker antiquing moments. What that's going to do for me is it will sand off or reveal itself differently in different areas. And then I could even take just a little bit of black and dirty brush, apply just a little bit of that inside that, and then separately. So see how my blotches of color is not in a pattern. I'm not like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, that kind of thing. So that's what you're looking for, is like organic. You want things to look slightly just of nature. Okay, I think I like the placement of that. Gonna smoosh my brush in there just to keep it like submerged. Get this dry, and then we'll come back and start doing some wax resist. So what we're going for is this chipped background. And I want to point out one thing that's very important. And when you see this, we have a video on this, all of the projects on the back wall we do as well. When you see a project like this, know that you could put any stencil on top of it, and so you don't have to paint the project like this. It's just a suggestion just to show you how a finished thing would be. But our background is what we're focusing on. See these big chipped areas? That's what we want. Okay, so we're gonna take our wax, and the reason we use a wax is because you can't get paint to chip authentically without using some sort of medium under it. And crackle isn't quite right for this, I don't think. You could layer crackle with chipped and it would look really cool. But in this case, I'm gonna go straight for the chipped. And so this is Clapham's beeswax. This is a natural beeswax. It's food safe. It's an amazing product for painting things that you're gonna use where you, like putting on a cutting board and that kind of thing. But it's also super pliable wax and it works great for this technique. So I'm just gonna put big blobs, not everywhere, and I'll go from the light to the dark and make interesting shapes. I'll stucco little blobby blobs here and there. Might want a big one there. Now I know what I'm doing with this board, but if you are not gonna do what I'm doing, I've got something that's gonna take up a big portion of my board. If you were not doing that and you had maybe more of your middle section showing, then you would put a good texture through the middle. So we'll go ahead and do that so it is standalone. So depending on what your plans are, that would be where you'd put your wax. And then don't forget to stucco some stuff here and there. The little chips are what is going to make it feel a little bit more authentic. And if you leave it on a lump like that, that's perfectly fine. This is like cooking, but with paint. It's a background recipe. Okay, clean up your hand. You could wear a glove, but this is food safe. So if I was using something that was petroleum based, then I would not want that all over my hands. So I would definitely glove up. I think we'll get white and mix it just, oh, you know what I need to do? I need to back into some gray. White and a little bit of number 79. So 27 and 79. Those are referring to our color chip chart. That is a wonderful chart that tells you how to find our colors. So we use Sherwin-Williams in the big bottles. We use Deco Art in the craft size bottles. And the color chip chart has the color of the color. So you can match it to your brand of paint that you have at home. And it has the conversion to Deco Art and the conversion to Sherwin-Williams, both, so that you can go and do that. Plus it has the computer tech side of things as well. Okay, so we're gonna go into number 13 to give us just a little bit of a cool. When you order our dome brushes, we have a new insert for the dome brushes that has a grayscale on it, and it also has color theory charts on there, as well as rulers and instructions on how to stencil. So, but this is really handy to have. I'm sneaking up on this color, so I maybe am in a medium color, so I'm going a step down 1. So my colors are going to be close in nature, and then I'm going to step up to the lighter colors. We are going to add, not everywhere. Okay, so we're going to do this here and there. And if I get some of it thick, all the better. If it gets in the groove, I think that's going to be just fine as well. So kind of what we're making is this got painted brown, then it got painted gray, then it got painted white. We're making that like old board used over and over again look. Okay, I'll blot my brush out and I'll brush mix my white and cream. And now we'll go on top of that. You want your directional to be directional. So we want to go in the, I want my arm to be able to move straight because these are planks. I'm really kind of glomming this paint on. Got a heavy hand going on here. I don't want to cover up all the gray, but I want to kind of move through it. And then once I get a base down, I can go back and I can fill in. So I don't have to decide that I'm finished right now. If you put some good music on while you're doing this technique, it's really kind of fun to like jam out, like stand when you do this. Don't sit down and try. If you sit, you're gonna be like this and your movements are gonna be way tighter. When you stand, your feet are wider, your shoulders are wider. So standing and then just a little jazz in your step and you'll be much looser and it will flow better. So remember, this is probably pretty good if I wanted to stop here and not do much sanding or anything, but I'm gonna sand and all of those bits are gonna sand off. And so I can do another layer after I sand, but I'll probably fill in just a little bit extra. Okay, I think we'll let this dry. It's almost lunchtime here, so I think we'll let it dry through lunch and then it'll be ready to sand off when we get back. Okay, so we have 1 or 2 areas that look like they're still raised, but I think we're just gonna go with it and see how things scrape off. You can do a couple of things with scraping. You can go straight to sandpaper. Let me show you what that looks like. And it's just gonna peel off. That one's the clumpy one right there. It'll do a paint chippy peel off. And remember, we can go back and add extra paint on top. So this is the kind of thing that we're looking for. And then the little grabs, like right there, that kind of thing, those are those little dots of stuff. You can also use one of the little scrapers. You could use a credit card, any of that stuff. And then you're gonna see that it'll grab and do a nice chippy. Okay, then I would sand. The sanding will drag a little bit of your other color over the other areas. All right, so now I'm gonna mix a little bit of the 79 in with the 27 and pick it up. And then we'll just blend over the top of this. Don't knock out every nice place that you have. Just even things out just a little bit. I find it really good to squint. So if I squint at it and anything is just like screaming at me, then I know I need to go there. And at the end of the day, just like this project here, you can see that I've gone and diffused areas and added some antiquing and some sanding so that I could tone it down. So as you go through your project, you can keep adding things to even things out. So you don't have to arrive all at once. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm adding some of these white streaks on top of the creamier streaks. So that is another, I'm trying to bring it up to a whiter look. But I'm streaking it, not basing it. So you just want to have a flavor of it. So it's like seasoning. We are cooking with a recipe. So make sure that if you're liking this content, to give us a thumbs up. That is so important to us. We're a small business. We have a great amount of stencils on our website. We have over 7,000 titles for you to choose from. So that's great, but we are still very much a small business. So we definitely rely on your feedback to let the rest of the world know that we're there. Okay, so now we're gonna go in with a little bit of our browns. So I've got number 44 and number 17, two different colors of brown. So I'll start, I might wanna just go straight to 17. Disregard the 44. So I'm not loading heavily, and our board is going to go side to side. So that will change how you're looking at things. So now I'm gonna pretend this way, and then I am gonna turn it anyway. But I know that I want to have it end up side to side. So now I'll bring it back. I love antiquing the edges because when you antique, it frames the piece and it hugs it. And when you're looking at art, and even though it's stenciling, we are arting, and when you're looking at art, you need to bring the eye into the middle. So it's super important that you bring that eye in. And so that's why I will always antique edges. And I don't do it evenly. We don't want a unibrow. Some of you will find that you end up with a unibrow or end up with something like that. And my advice to you is to go ahead and know that your paints layer in both directions. So I can do a dark, and then if I get too dark, I can do a light and feather straight into it, and that will take out some of that strong color. So like if you get too far, you can always go and add in the other side. So don't be afraid of dancing back and forth, 2 steps forward, 3 steps that way, a little bit of black, number 28. And then we're gonna deepen some stuff and just play with alternate. So if you have any guesses as to what I'm going to put on top of this board, put those in the comments below, and let's see who's right. Got this all planned out. But I wanted to show this chippy part so that if you are somebody that doesn't want to do the whole finished project, you will know how to get the background effect, and then you can do that and take it where you want to take it. So now it's just a dancing game. Do I want more here? Do I want a little streak of black through the middle of my areas that are stronger just to marry those, blend those together? I think I do. So that just settles it down, it fades it. All right, so now we're gonna do some spattering. Spattering is your bestie friend, and Steve might cringe while I'm doing this. So as I said earlier, we cleaned off the whole work surface. And now I'm gonna spatter, and spatters go everywhere. And there's not anything I can do about that. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna put this back in the middle. The towel will keep the spatters off of the back side of your project. So I'm about to go spatter crazy. If you're gonna go on top of your project and you're going to paint some more, and you don't want any further chipping, get this completely dry, like blow dry it, like set it, right? Wait 24 hours. If you don't want things to stick or peel off, you wanna wait 24 hours. So spray this with some Zep, wipe it down with a paper towel, and that will break the wax effect. We've done it a whole ton of times. That's how you can paint over your project later. So this Zep is a all-purpose cleaner and degreaser. I'm not affiliated to it. It's just something we picked up at the store and we've used, and it hasn't made me mad, so there you are. So now we're gonna go into our White Wonder brush, which is the best spattering brush you'll ever find. It is absolutely incredible. I can control everything with this brush, with spatters. And we're gonna get a big handled brush. So this is our feathering brush. And I'm going to test spatter over here, but like I think only once, because I want really big, fat, juicy spatters out here. And the wetter your spatters, the juicier they will be. There we go. So keep picking up your paint. Anything you don't like, you can either use a Q-tip and take it off, or you can wipe it off. Okay, so let's get some pure straight up white. So I might spatter white where my darks are. And then I might just randomly do that. Okay, and then we will blow dry and I'll do a final sanding and we are on the home stretch and you'll see what that looks like. All right, final sand. And so now you'll notice that my sandpaper is getting filled with some wet paint stuff. I've done a couple of projects that have had that in it. I tend to lean to my thumb when I'm doing the sanding so that you can see that I did that on this. So now I'll flip it over. This is a multi-dimensional. Some of these, I don't have one here. Some of these are shaped to only go in one direction. So the ones that are straight and don't have almost like a mouse bend to them are the ones that I would get. So then we just sand through, add a little bit of distress to some of the blocks. Ooh, I found a couple more of my waxies. You know, that's really interesting. So I'm having a discovery in my head right now with you guys. So the spatter is dry super slow. And so I just heated this all up to dry it quickly so I could finish this project for you. Heated up on high with my blow dryer. And then I went back and sanded. And then all my wax is heated up. And so it's easily lifting through. So all of these little surprise guys are from the heated wax. So I think that's what's causing that. So we've just learned a new thing together. So we are going to always heat if possible, and then things will chip off better. So that's a really cool pro tip. And this gives new definition to sanding is my cardio. So now I look, I squint. Do I like, do I love? If it's too much, what you can do. So pretend like you put a stencil on top of here, paint some art, whatever you're gonna do. If you're gonna paint art, I absolutely would zep. Stenciling doesn't seem to be as susceptible. But if you're gonna go with an art technique, I've been a professional artist for 30 years. So if you're gonna do an art technique, get rid of that wax unless you want it to chip off with the other chippy things. You could do a wash of you could do the Legacy Brown and you could totally do like a glaze of it all over everything, and that would make everything kind of come together a little more. You can always glaze this once you get going on the rest of your project. So I'm gonna pause it right here, say that I think this is absolutely wonderful, and know that it's ready for my next step. This is how you make a new board look like an old, rugged, rustic board. If you want to see what we do to take this to the finish line, make sure you subscribe, ring the bell, and watch for future videos.